Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this week's version of the Awesome Dynamic Show. We are lucky enough to have a great special guest today, so I want to waste no time getting into it. I'm going to turn it right over to Robin. Robin, who do we have, and what are we going to be talking about today?
Sure. Today we have Joy Hawkins. She's definitely one of the biggest SEO personalities out there, I would say. She's a contributor to many websites, including Moz.com, and she has her own website, or she works for Imprezio Marketing. So we'll definitely go ahead and talk about that for a portion of this today. But we really want to get into the content of the changes on Google and just some of the trends in SEO right now and what's happening right now. So I really wanted to start with one of the biggest changes I've seen in Google My Business lately is that description. And it's been taken away. And Joy, can you talk a little bit more about that and what's happening with the Google My Business description and changes in Google My Business lately?
Yeah, so I'm going to say probably there used to be a description field that would primarily show up on Google Plus. So you could customize, just like a normal description for your business up if you were actually on the Google Plus page. With Google kind of divorcing Google My Business from Google Plus, they're taking away a lot of the normal features that we used to see on the listings. And the description was one of the fields that they actually stopped showing for a long time, but it still existed as a field in the Google My Business dashboard, which was frankly kind of confusing because people would often wonder this description and it wouldn't show up anywhere. Removing the field completely. And now the only descriptions that you actually find on Google Maps or Google search, like in the business, are actually called editorial summaries, which are little descriptions that are actually written by Google employees themselves. So if your business has one, it's been written by a Google employee. If you don't have one, Google is getting through, all the businesses trying to kind of prioritize which ones they write for first. But it's not something the business owner can actually write themselves. Google has literally taken that task and they do it now. If there's something inaccurate, you can report it as inaccurate, but it's not like you can come up with the marketing material you want for that description.
Great. And we did see a few occurrences of old descriptions that were written popping up still on the knowledge graph. Is that something that's fading away now, or is that something that Google's trying to update with these smaller descriptions, or will you be able to keep those old ones till they replace them? Any news on that?
The only ones that you should see now are either pulled in from Wikipedia, if it's a business that is, got a Wikipedia entry, or they are pulling from the editorial summaries section. Other than that, there's no other place pulling them from.
Okay, great. And what are some of the biggest SEO? Let's talk about the last year. What are some of the biggest highlights in SEO and as far as ranking on Google that you have seen in review, and what are some of the top trends that are based on that going to be popping up that you see coming up in the next few months?
Yeah, so as far as like the last year goes, we actually the biggest algorithm update we've seen for local in probably over 2 years. We decided to name it Possum. Google came up with it was just a bunch of us trying to figure out what to call it, but it was a algorithm update basically that only impacted the local results, so that the listings in the 3-pack. It didn't really impact organic. If it did, it was a very minor. And it happened on the most recent article I wrote on Search Engine Land was talking about a study that I did with Bright Local, and just checking to see how much actually changed as a result of this update. And I believe it was 65% of the search results actually changed after Possum hit. Were in the 3-pack before, like totally changed around. So that's been a really big shakeup that we've had a lot of people reaching out, either them. So we're kind of completely reevaluating at the moment which ranking factors now matter more than they did before. One that definitely stands out at the top of my mind would be, I'd say, the location of the person searching is a much bigger factor than it used to be. So it used to be the case, if you and I both typed in, plumber Los Angeles, we would kind of see something similar, but the way it's working now is really dependent on your location. Google is favoring certain listings if you're close to them. So that's becoming used to be. As far as features I know they're working on, there's two major ones that I know are in the works. One is this advanced verification that they're doing for locksmiths and plumbers in San Diego, which is actually supposed to be launching today. In their efforts to fight spam, in order to get listed in San Diego, if you're in one of those categories, you have to go through this really vigorous process that Google does to make sure you're a legitimate business. And if you don't pass, they're actually removing your listing completely from what I've heard today. Another one that they're working on that's in beta is the posting on search feature, which have you done?
I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit there. Can you say that again?
Okay, the posting on search beta
Yes.
is another thing that's going on with Google My Business. So we have a few clients that are on the beta. If that's successful, I think that will be really huge for small businesses because it actually allows them to post updates directly to the search results. Kind of like Twitter, but you can literally just post whatever you want, whether it's a video or a photo or whatnot. So we're seeing really good results so far from that as well.
Now, that's an interesting thing because what would you say is the role of especially like AMP and Google Mobile versus regular Google? Because I've seen a lot of these ranking tools now are they're separating the Google Mobile results, even though they look very similar to Google. And also, how is AMP playing in as a factor to all of this?
I'd say the AMP stuff is not so huge for small businesses because it's more, I think, directed at like news publishers and articles and things. Don't honestly do much of. Where we do find it makes a big difference is the 3-pack is very different on a mobile device than it is on a computer. So it is good to track it separately. And that's because on a mobile device, your location is included as a ranking factor even stronger. If I search restaurants near me or restaurant San Diego or whatever on my phone, I may see something completely different than if I pulled my computer up at the same location, same thing. Because phones are very much a location-based device, and they're going to use that as a ranking signal above and beyond what they do on computers.
Yeah, that's extremely interesting. User-centric ranking factors. I mean, let's say you're in the same room, or you're let's say you're connected to your Wi-Fi, or you're in a Starbucks connected to there, and you have your phone right next to your desktop. You're saying you can get the exact same results or different results. How does that vary, and does connecting to the Wi-Fi matter with the centric search?
Yeah, the 3 different things that are the search term you put in, your IP address, which would be the same if you were connected to the Wi-Fi, and then the actual location your browser is set to. So there are tools out there that you can actually manipulate where your browser is set to, but no one can really, you can, I guess if you use a proxy, manipulate your IP address. But those 3 things are kind of how Google determines what to show. And you would see different results most likely connection doing a phone search versus a computer search. We used to see like if the site was mobile friendly, for example, that might help them rank higher on mobile, whereas it makes no impact on the organic. So there's like tons of different variations, I think, that come into play that cause the research results to be a bit different, not drastically different.
Yeah, that's interesting too, is the mobile results, because there is that strategy of making your mobile site the skimmed down version a lot different than your desktop site to the extreme. And is that something that's going to affect how the results play out based on if there's different information on your mobile site versus the full desktop site? So for example, I mean, even the way you arrange it on the page for mobile and making it a better user experience overall, and doing that for, even though there's less content per se on the mobile device. So the question is that how is that going to change if you have two completely different sites, really?
I'd say there's pretty much almost never a case where I actually recommend people have two sites for SEO. We see it a lot for PPC, when people are doing ads, having a separate mobile site that has like different can be really effective. For SEO, it's more of a nightmare than anything else because you've got two different sites to update, trying to keep their content in sync. It's like almost twice as much work. So we almost always go with responsive design for clients, so that at least the structure of the pages, the layout, the things like that, like they're pretty much the same. The responsive adjusts properly on mobile. But that's kind of Google's suggestion as well. They suggest responsive design in their like official guidelines for webmasters. So I find it's just the easiest, best way to go about that whole problem. You don't have to worry about this thing.
All right, great.
I have a follow-up question on that one. For the responsive design, as you know, we can do all sorts of different media queries to customize the experience on your desktop, tablets of different sizes, phones of different sizes. Do you do a lot of that customization to have certain elements, let's say hero slideshow at the top of the desktop page, do a completely customized different version for the mobile, so this way that wider one that drops off the desktop gets replaced by something else?
Yeah, sometimes we'll definitely like remove elements from the mobile version, for example, but usually they're like visual elements, right? Like, like an image or something. Most of the content we would keep because the content is, most likely what's going to impact the ranking the most. So we don't want to like remove block from the mobile version because that could have a negative impact on their ranking on mobile. Primary thing with local businesses that we want to be the focus on a mobile device is a, call button. Which seems pretty standard, but you'd be surprised at how many small businesses don't even have them. Click to call and it actually works. Obviously, the contact form, which we usually, have like short contact forms for businesses, making sure that that's, mobile friendly and not like taking up the entire screen or not too cumbersome to fill out on a tiny little device. Those are kind of the main things we normally focus on.
Yeah, it's surprising how many people we run across that don't have any phone numbers on their site, but they want more business, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
but don't call me.
Terry's always harping on folks for that. Robin, what's your next question?
Well, along the same lines with the Google mobile results, how big of a factor are having those 5-star online reviews and Google reviews, and how does the Facebook reviews factor into that? And how many, I mean, there's not really a set number of reviews, but if you have a significant number more of reviews than your competitors, how do the reviews factor in and how much do they factor into ranking in that local pack?
So reviews are really important. Obviously, having enough of them, the biggest thing that's probably has the most impact on where you actually rank is the content of the review. So, we've got like a criminal lawyer that we're working with, and, the person that reviewed him was saying how this guy helped him out with his DUI. That would, help the criminal lawyer rank for DUI related keywords. So you see a direct correlation between what people are writing about the business in their review and where they rank. It's not true with just Google reviews. There's been tests done on Yelp, for example, and getting reviews on Yelp that mention certain words and services will actually help you rank higher for those services on Google. So I think Google looks at a variety of third-party sources, and it's usually easy to tell which ones they're looking at because they're usually the ones that will show up when you Google your business name with, schema markup with the star ratings. And you'll probably also notice a lot of them will show up in the actual knowledge panel for the business as well. So that's a feature that Google came out with again a few months ago. Text of those reviews have a great impact on where a business shows up.
All right. Well, we can do a couple examples. Let's see. So what are some of the examples you have been running? I know you mentioned plumbers, and is there an example that you'd like to bring up on the screen here?
Sure, just like of reviews specifically, or
Yeah, or ranking factors, just to give a little bit of a visual.
Yeah, so if you do like, you can do like plumbing, and maybe you can pick one of the businesses there if you want.
Sure. All right, so let's take a look at this. I've actually used this plumber before, so why don't we pick this one? And so they have a 5 stars. They have 13 reviews overall, but these guys have 3 stars and 9 reviews. You know, so, but somehow they're showing up on top with just the website, no call button, no directions. And so what puts these guys on top?
Yeah, I mean that question I get asked a lot.
Right.
There's no way to answer that without honestly spending hours looking into it. But what you can do that will often give you more information about the business, if you search like a plumber now San Diego so that you can see their knowledge graph, you'll probably get a lot more details about what actually goes into the listing itself. So hopefully this will trigger their. Oh, that's lovely. Normally it's funny because they have a yeah, pretty generic business name, I guess. Do you want to try it for that Black Mountain Plumbing?
Sure. I'll take that and put in Black Mountain Plumbing. There we go.
There you go. So now you've got it all in the right. So you can see reviews around the web, and they've got like customer lobby and review buzz and like a bunch of these other places that are pulling in reviews. Those what generally lines up on the left. So the directories on the left that have the gold stars, or the sites on the left that have the gold stars, are generally the ones that Google will pull into the knowledge graph. And you'll notice Google is pulling in reviews that are actually on the site itself. So this business's website, the review schema markup on it, and those are actually getting pulled in as reviews from reviews around the web. Where the Google reviews are.
Now with the reviews, I know that you can have, so with the keywords being in the reviews is definitely essential. We usually tell our clients, you know, have your happy clients tell their story so that the keyword naturally gets into there. But does it count at all in the response? Like if you have an owner response with new information, can you put something in there?
Not that I've seen. I wish it was that easy, but I don't think owner responses really even get. I always tell people to do them because I think they show the customer that you care enough to actually see the review and respond to it. It doesn't have the same impact as like a customer actually putting it in the review text.
So more of like a human ranking factor, really. All right. So what? My question on these stars over here, though, is why are people not doing this? Because it seems pretty. I mean, from a tech point, putting the schema markup in there, I mean, it takes minimal time investment, and then you get these great stars coming up here, and I barely see anyone doing this. Why is that?
Most small business owners, first of all, fail to get anything other than their homepage ranked. So that's, you know, normally you'll see like a site and literally the only page that shows up anywhere is the homepage, and you can't get the gold stars on the homepage. So a lot of people don't even think. Who I see really succeeding at this is like a good corporate example would be Allstate. So you do a search for Allstate plus any city. They have gold stars all over the place for their locations because all of their agents have inner pages. So hopefully this will actually trigger one. You know, gold stars on a lot of them, right? That's because Allstate's locations have their inner pages on allstate.com. Most small businesses like Joe the Plumber, that's got joetheplumber.com, it's like his homepage is the only thing that ranks anywhere. So I think it's just a matter of, first, they have no idea that this feature is even possible, and then they don't see it on their competitors, so it, you know, they're not looking for it. With Google changing the guidelines on it recently, that also confused a lot of business owners, because before it was like really easy. You could just Google or from Yelp stick them on your site and then mark them up. But Google's now telling you they have to be unique, and you can't technically do that anymore. So it got a little harder when Google made that adjustment.
Yeah, and so that's definitely an advantage you can have over your competitors today. So definitely ask your web team about schema and getting these stars for your different pages. All right, so let's go ahead. I'll throw it back to Terry here, and we can do a little break for Imprezio.
And Robin, I'll pick up there. This
Sure.
is Paul DeWarian. Joy, we'd love you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Maybe give us a 1 or 2 minute intro on yourself. We jumped right into the content because we love to get that over to folks right away. But if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, your experience in the world of SEO and with Google, and how we can get a hold of you, that'd be great. And we'll go ahead and throw your website up on the screen at this point.
Sure. Yeah. Scroll down just a tiny bit. It should actually list something like bad, and I'll just explain what those. Oh, you passed it. Go up. So I'm a Google Business top contributor, really a group of people. There's about 8 or 9 of Google on the Google My Business forum. So there's a list of 7. The advantage to this program, it's a lot of work. It's a volunteer program. So Google, it's actually kind of funny, at a recent event I was at, Google guys that was there, why they haven't hired me yet. And they're like, why would we hire Joy? We get her for free, jokingly. But they don't pay any of us for hours or anything, but we do get perks. Some of the perks include, back-end access to Google employees that we don't have to deal with, the lovely phone support that they outsource to India. But we also don't have to deal with issues that we see happening anywhere that are regarding Google My Business. We have a direct path to get those escalated right away, and Google. So there's lots of stuff they tell us that we're not technically allowed to talk about when they first tell us. We get access to things like betas, and they tell us about launches before they happen. And usually they fly us out there at least once a year, kind of pay for us to come out and get our feedback on all the products and stuff. So it's a really cool group to be a part of. It's been a real kind of fun time. I've been in that for about 4. And at Imprezio specifically, they have me deal with our, if we've got, clients that are not ranking well or somehow had some weird thing happen and no one can figure it out, that is generally when they send it over to me. I also have a monthly column on Search Engine Land. I write for, obviously, blog for Imprezio as well. So I do quite a bit of writing, and the events that I speak at are usually either SMX or Local U, which is, I guess, run by like Mike Blumenthal, if people know who he is. He facilitates those. A couple speaking events I had to turn down this year, unfortunately, because I am 34 weeks pregnant, so couldn't travel. But events at different search marketing conferences, and probably about 4 or 5 a year.
Well, congratulations on your pregnancy. Thank you for sharing about your business and about your personal life. I'm sure it's very exciting. How would someone get a hold of you if they want to?
Yeah, so I mean, there's contact forms on there. I have all my information publicly on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Joyanne Hawkins, and I also have my own blog where I keep up with any article I write for anyone. I try to post on joyannehawkins.com, which is just my personal blog of all the different articles I've written. But yeah, the office I work out of is the one in Toronto there.
All right, great. And then Terry, do you want to go ahead and proceed with our little commercial?
Of course I do. That's why I'm here, right? Absolutely. So we're going to throw up our website on there real quick. But so Awesome Dynamic, as well as doing SEO for our clients, we also develop websites. We are Amazon seller consultants, and we also can help you with a Google virtual tour. Those are all things that we do specifically, but the bottom line at Awesome Dynamic here is getting you targeted new customers. And as an example, through our efforts with Robin and Nicole and our team on our SEO for our Amazon Seller Consulting. I'm happy to say that I no longer am out looking for new customers. They are coming to us on a regular basis. So when we talk about it, we always say our new customers are calling us daily, are yours. And these are all the different ways that we can help you get that done. So we can be reached at 800-238-1811. Also, you can get me directly at terry@awesomedynamic.com. We'd love to chat with you about your business, how we can help get you new targeted customers, and dramatically improve your selling on Amazon as well. So that's the quick rundown on that, and I will turn it right back over to Robin.
All right, so let's go ahead and dive into some other topics related to SEO. Let's start with keywords. And what are some, I know there's a lot of controversy in which the best SEO tools are, and which methods to use, and how to beat out your competitors. What are some of the methods that you've used in the past and that you've seen work really well with Google?
Yeah, so we usually do keyword research two different ways. The keyword planner that AdWords has is still by far the best tool. The only tricky thing now is you have to be logged into a Google account that actually spends something with AdWords, or you won't see any accurate data at all. The other thing is that they started throttling the data quite a bit. And Patrick Stocks wrote a really good article on Search Engine Land about 4 or 5 months ago on a couple tactics and tricks that you can use to actually get accurate data on the tool. Like you basically need to do the section of it that gives you an estimate where you put in a bid and stuff, and you'll actually get real numbers, versus if you just use the generic part of the keyword planner, it gives you like this big ballpark figure that's rounded, and it's also on broad match, so it's completely inaccurate. So there's definitely some tricks to using the keyword tool. I think a lot of people don't know that. They use it wrong. They get completely inaccurate data. We always use the data from Search Console as well, because the search analytics in there are also, more likely to be accurate than anything else as far as what keywords you're actually getting traffic from currently. And then we also usually will do, like, as far as coming up with new keyword ideas, we a lot of times will look around, at the bottom of the search results to see what related terms show up. We'll look at competitor sites, dive in, see what words and phrases they're using on their site that our clients aren't, and kind of do a bit of a comprehensive overview that way as well.
Great. And then how do you take that competition factor? Because I know there's something that we do at Awesome Dynamic is really target those words that are the easy wins. And we've gotten tons of phone calls and seen some success from that. But how low do you go on the traffic to where it's not worth it anymore? Or how high do you go on the competition where it's not worth it anymore? Is there some sort of proportion or guide that you would go by?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for small businesses anyway is just coming up with like content that answers questions. So, for example, we work with a lot of dentists, and one of the things I've noticed about dentists is, there's not generally a lot of information on their site in regards to different procedures they do. So one popular example would be getting your wisdom teeth out. Like, it's a procedure that pretty much almost everyone has to do at some point in their life. But the huge majority of dentists don't even talk about wisdom teeth at all on their site, or what happens when you get your wisdom teeth removed, or what you can expect for recovery. Stuff around that. A lot of times by building out content that's related to the main category, like the word dentist, it actually can impact your ranking for like the core keywords as well, the more that you get relevant content. So honestly, we pretty much are always spitting out content.
Yeah, that's a great point, because you can see that, dentists are going to have the exact same content as far as services go. Like they're going to be able to do the same surgeries. Everything's very the same. But where do you get those unique pieces of content and original content? That's something that a lot of businesses struggle with. And this is a great example of one. Even just putting these frequently asked questions, you can show up in the knowledge graph here, with numbered bullets or short answers. Google really likes this getting to information quickly. So if you have the best answer out there on your website and you mark it up with that schema markup, which you've talked about in webinars in the past, you can really get above the #1 result here, which is such an important space. So great example of an original piece of content to put you ahead of your competitors.
It's funny that Joy brought up the dental example. I just did an evaluation of a site, was it Terry, a couple days ago, of a dental office in Long Island, New York. And he has tons of content on related services, almost exactly like you're talking about, probably from his current web or SEO company. But what's happening is, the top traffic key term is dentist, or family dentist, or children's dentist in the area. And it was funny that the word dentist hardly appeared anywhere on the site. It's, dental, that, all sorts of different versions are kind of dancing around the keyword that's going to generate some reasonable traffic. And there were dentists on Manhattan Island ranking ahead of him. And you look at their pages, and they were properly optimizing the homepage for the highest traffic keyword. And I loved all the extra content and told him in my video to him that that was a really good thing to have that extra content, but really lacking in, hey, the one keyword that most people search is really lacking all over your website, which I thought was interesting. So it's funny you brought up that example. Anyway, I'll let Robin go ahead and get back to the next question, unless, Joy, you have a comment on that.
Oh, no, you can go on.
Okay.
So one thing I always notice is we're always searching for those words that are like the trifecta, or they have the knowledge graph, they have the local results, they have, the knowledge graph at the top here. Is there a tool or something you can use to evaluate that, or what makes these pop up on some research results, but not on similar search results that you found in the past?
Yeah, well, local packs usually trigger when you type in a service, right? So dentist, for example, would be like a name of a service. So you don't always get like a local 3-pack if you type in something like veneers, or even Invisalign, or other things that dentists might offer. Sometimes you do, but a lot of times you don't. So if it's a service, you're more likely to get a 3-pack. And then normally if it's like a frequently asked question, or that you need a specific answer to a question, that's when you generally see the answer boxes that show up at the top. So it's really about Google trying to guess at the intent of the query. I'd say more so than anything else.
We've seen them grow, smarter and smarter over the years, I always like to say. But
yes.
So how do you, so when you have these local pack results here, is Google expanding upon just going beyond the typical services? What do you see as predictions in the future of other types of local pack results you can get from, besides services or types or industries? What types of industries?
I think if you type in like plumber San Jose, for example, they are testing home service ads in the Bay Area for plumbers, a few others, but like they're these sponsored kind of looking things that pull in Google reviews from your typical Maps listing. A test they're running through AdWords. So this has been running for I think like 1.5 years now. It's been a while. So there's talk about possibly them expanding that, making one of the listings in the 3-pack a paid listing. So they're always looking for ways to make more money. So if that happens, a lot of people are freaking out over that, because they showed a screenshot of it at SMX in Seattle in the summertime, and I took a picture of it with my phone, and it was a really crappy, blurry picture. And then right after I snapped it and tweeted it, they told us not to share it. So it was a bit too late. But we're talking about how they've been testing that, and in June I have not seen a single test. A couple others have, but there is buzz around whether or not Google will do anything with that. They have ads now showing in the local finder, they have ads showing in Google Maps. So I mean, they're really just trying to find more places to put ads, I think.
Exactly. Pretty soon the ads will show up, 3D or something like that.
Holographic ads.
3D glasses.
Something.
All right.
Hey, Robin, can I jump in with a question?
Yeah, go for it.
So, Joy, I want to just take this sort of really basic just for a minute. I'm the one who handles all our sales calls here, and people are always asking me how long it's going to take for them to start ranking better. How long, I've heard people tell me I've already done my SEO. Of course, I know you've heard all this stuff. So, what do you talk about with new clients who are asking these kind of questions? I'd love to hear what you say about, how long it takes to get some traction. When they ask you how long do I need to do SEO, what do you talk about? And then do you also talk in terms of, approximately how much time maybe per month that someone doesn't have to spend to really have some effective SEO done?
Yeah, no, that's like the golden question, and you get asked in sales like all the time. So obviously there's no magic answer to how long it takes, but I would say definitely SEO is not a one-time thing. So if anyone ever says to me, I've already done SEO, and I'm like, well, again, not a one-time thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely something, in my opinion, that has to be ongoing. Because I see it as like a race. You've got businesses, let's say, that are competing for 3 spots, and whoever is kind of continually adding more stuff, like more ranking factors and more things that impact ranking, is really clearly going to be the winner over time. So if you put a bunch of efforts in and then stop doing anything and you expect to actually maintain your position, I think you're kind of crazy for expecting that when your competitors are not, and they're actively paying off. And I would say that SEO's purpose is for 2 things. One is to obviously gain new traffic that you don't have yet. So keep in mind, like Google has said that each day, like at least 15% of the queries they get are brand new. So people are always thinking of new ways to type things in, searching differently. So if you're targeting, 3 keywords, you're not reaching everyone. So there's always new traffic to get, but then also I think there's a cost involved in just maintaining your existing ranking. Because if you just expect that you pay in one time and it's just going to stay there for 5 years, I mean, I just hitting themselves with that.
Perfect. Yeah, we were in a consultation with an insurance agent once who asked us how long he should be doing SEO for, and I asked him how long I should have insurance for.
Haha, good. I like that.
Yeah, so that's the way it went. So, we talk about, a few months to get some traction. And then one of the things we always try to mention too is just we have to do a little bit more than our competition, and we really need to know what that is, but that's really the whole key.
Yeah, and I mean, budgets for SEO, it could really depend on the industry you're in. If you're a dentist, for example, it's highly competitive. Like there are pretty much I would assume most of the dentists in that town, that the person's in are most likely paying for SEO. Service business and you're in a really small dinky town in Idaho, you might not need as big of a budget. So it really just depends on what you're up against.
Got it. Thank you.
All right.
Go ahead,
Paul,
Robin.
go ahead. I was going to say, in terms of long tail keywords and landing pages, what's really the limit? So of landing pages, would you say landing pages, if you want to rank in different towns, is that a better idea in terms of like having the town name in the actual long tail keyword? Is that something that's most important, or is the root keyword really the most important when you're trying to rank for these towns surrounding your business?
Yeah, I would say that's one aspect of SEO that is really challenging these days. Is let's say your business is in Seattle, but you want to also rank in Redmond and all these surrounding towns outside of Seattle. It's really hard. Like it's honestly the strategies that used to work, where people just kind of spammy looking, all have the same exact content, just sub out the cities. Those are seen as doorway pages often now, so you can actually get penalized for them. So I'm very cautious when I'm creating what we call service area pages, because unless you have really compelling, unique content for each area, it is really difficult to rank anywhere as to those pages. Like, who's going to link to them? Like it's very difficult to get any type of backlinks, and then without backlinks, you're really not going to rank anywhere. So I would say that strategy is one where we generally push AdWords for people that really want to expand above and beyond their own specific town. It was getting harder to do that successfully.
Yeah, and so how about let's say you just have a great take it as like an advantage, and you're competing against like a Home Depot, but you're a really local hardware shop, and you have this great content, you know this town, you know what people like there, and you create these great original content pieces with awesome information, pictures, local everything. Is that something that could be used as an advantage over those bigger stores? And how often do you update those pages to keep them fresh and ranking on Google?
Yeah, I mean, if I was a hardware store and I was trying to compete with Home Depot, I would just come out with content pages about the products that I offer, like some brand of hammer or something like that that you have in your store, writing about the features of it and just building out your site like that. I mean, you think about all the different products they offer, specials that they're doing in their store, the ideas are endless. And I would say the big brands really do have a hard time competing in that aspect because they're not really able to do that at scale for all of their locations, the same way that a small business owner could do it who's actually in the store and can go around taking pictures and videos and things like that to put on their site. So we work with some big brands, but honestly, I find it's a lot more challenging to get SEO done for big brands than it is for like the mom and pop shops who don't have, a million hoops to jump through before getting something added to their site.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot of business owners out there that are just wondering, what can I do today? And that's definitely something you can do today is just start writing, start putting up content that you've created, start putting up pictures, start doing videos. So definitely a lot of opportunities there to put some fresh content on your site. Even when people come into the store and ask you questions, go ahead and put those on the site, and then you'll see a big jump on that. So.
I got a follow-up question. With the Google, Google My Business pages that are out there all over on the map. Yeah, there's a lot of them that are out of folks' homes, and we know that that's not allowed. And there's a lot of them that are out of UPS stores or PO boxes and all sorts of storage units. I've seen all sorts of stuff like that. And a lot of us are part of the, what is it called, the Google Local Guides program, where I obviously through that program, Google's been trying to get the public to clean up the map. And one of the easiest ways to clean it up is to shut a lot of these things down or report them, which obviously changes how many of these quote unquote illegal listings are out there. I was curious if you had any commentary on the epidemic of all these listings out there. We even talk with clients sometimes about it's an easy way to gain a couple rankings if you have competitors that are violating the maps terms, just to pop up a couple spots. So I'd be curious to hear what your comment is on that.
Yeah, we do a ton of that. Actually, I write a lot about spam too as well. I've written a few pieces for Search Engine Land and have a couple on my blog, but spam fighting is what we kind of call that. We do it for clients all the time, especially ones that are service area businesses, because there tends to be a lot more fake listings at UPS stores, things like that for the customer. A dentist would have a hard time utilizing a UPS store because their patients come to them. So it's not like they can create a fake listing and get much benefit from it. But a lot of people don't realize that, yes, you can report a listing and yes, Google will take it down. And through the local guides program, or, I'm a part of the regional leads program, which is, I guess, a step above Google guides. And basically, the more you edit, the better your edits are, the faster your edits go through. So you get to the point where Google trusts your profile enough, you can get things done pretty quickly. But in the event that you can't, because I've seen that too, like people are waiting like 3-4 months for their edits to go out through, you can escalate those types of things on the Google My Business forum. So we have a whole board on the forum devoted to spam, where we have businesses literally that come on and they're like, hey, can you guys please get rid of this listing for this fake locksmith who is using a Regis office or whatever, and then we can either take it down for them or escalate it to Google to take it down. But we've seen huge advantages for clients by just taking down basically fake listings that shouldn't be there that are outranking them. really smart idea for anyone that's working with small businesses that have that problem.
Yeah, I also noticed when I was looking at that dentist on Long Island, there was one of these Manhattan dentists had several listings that were out there, all going to the same website. And I failed to mention it in my video to him. I was like, that's such an easy way to just gain 3 ranking spots just by knocking that guy out of there. So it's just it's a really interesting technique that a lot of people just don't even think about. All right, Robin, what's your next question? Oh, go ahead, Joy.
Okay.
Please respond.
Oh, I just want to clarify for dentists, they are allowed multiple listings if their listings are for their practitioners. So if you've got a dental office with 5 dentists in it, technically each dentist is allowed to have their own profile, and that's not against Google's guidelines. What is against their guidelines is, like, we had a chiropractor we saw once who created I think 5 listings for his office with like the names of services that he offered as the title. And that, like, back pain or best back pain doctor and things like that. Like, yeah, that's not allowed at all.
I'm glad you made that clarification, because the practitioners, like you said, lawyers, dentists. I think we even did it for real estate agents at one point in time, working at the same office. But curious on that. You know, we all know that the name, address, and phone number are so important for citations. How does that play into those practitioner listings?
I wrote an article about that on Whitespark's blog, whitespark.ca, and talked about like best practices, because there's so many things to consider. But generally my rule of thumb is, if you've got 5 doctors in your office, let's say, don't go out and create listings for all 5 doctors. Just find out what exists currently on Google and deal with that, because more is often not better. Normally your listings just end up competing with each other and not at all helping each other.
Very good, and that's kind of the advice that we've been giving folks as well. Let's see. Whitespark.ca. Yes, in fact, we love their little tool recently to help you get that Google review link. So this way it just pops up with that. We've been manually creating that, and they keep changing the URL, and that little tool that they have there has been super useful. In fact, if we don't mind, Terry, would you mind walking us through how we ask for reviews? And Tim will go ahead and show it on the screen, and then Joy can kind of absorb the way we this really neat method that we were able to put together.
Sure. Pardon me. So in a nutshell, we're looking for happy, satisfied customers that we can address, and we're going to ask them right away for a 5-star Google review. So we don't just ask for a review or you know, anything like that, a 5-star Google review. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take them to our site where there's a place for them to go ahead and click away and get in there. Then we're bringing them to a choice. So here we come to the choice. And so we have a positive thumbs up, which takes them right to the place where they can go ahead and get that Google review done. And we have there we go. And then we have the thumbs down side, which takes them away from that and brings them to an area where we can figure out exactly what we can do to rectify the situation and make them want to give us a 5-star Google review when we're all finished. So it's a great way to make sure that we can sort of have a little control on that. I mean, it's not definitive. It's not going to keep somebody from giving you necessarily a bad Google review if they really are set on doing that, but it can definitely filter out quite a bit of them and give us the opportunity to attend to it, fix it, and try to turn that negative into a positive review.
You know, the other thing, Terry, that we've done is review parties. And in fact, our last webinar was just a really good recap of all the stuff that we've done at those review parties. And Joy, review parties no more than, you know, it was originally intended to be a BYOB event, but it didn't end up being that way. But we essentially get a bunch of business owners in a room, and we teach them how to ask their customers for reviews and how it actually is easy to do on an Android device, but it's a huge pain on an iPhone to do it right there in the office, and some of the ins and outs of using the Wi-Fi versus not, and how you got to ask for the story, can't be over enthusiastic with exclamation points, all caps, and all that other kind of business. So we always want to make the negative reviewer look crazy rather than letting them make you look bad, and what the good techniques to do that without starting a combative situation online is like. But we used to do those review parties all the time, but we got that great video that we send out to people now. But just curious, some of the different methods that you use to help business owners get reviews. Just curious if any of the things that we're doing are similar to what you're doing, or if you have some other techniques that you'd be willing to share.
Yeah, pretty much exactly the same. I mean, asking them, well, you've got them there in front of you is great. Asking them via an email. I think most business owners kind of fail because all they do is have a little link in the bottom of their signature that's like, leave us a review. And that's not the same as asking someone to leave you a review. So I think it's just a matter of actually asking. And if you ask, then you will get a good number of them.
That's great advice. Yeah, because it's how you ask, really. All right.
Yeah, the way I always do it is like, it would mean so much to me and to my business if you would take the time to leave me a 5-star review of my business. It would help us grow and serve other customers in the way that we've been able to help you. So that's the example that I give to business owners, is the way you ask rather than the person at the Kohl's is like, yeah, just put a review or whatever. So the way you ask is just so important. Anyway, Robin, please get to your next question.
Sure. In terms of the age-old question of Google My Business duplicates, how are I've talked to many times through forums, through Google support. I mean, there's always a different strategy of how to get rid of these duplicates. I mean, even Google's saying sometimes that you don't even need to get rid of them because it's automatic now, and I see all these old Google Places pages still out there, connected to profiles, to old profiles, and there's all this kind of tangled web here. So what is really the best strategy to first find the duplicates and then combine the duplicates so that it doesn't affect your business negatively on Google?
So I just threw a link in the chat there, but as far as finding them goes, so this is changing because my default for finding them was always Google Mapmaker, which is just announced that they're closing that as of March of next year. So I've been looking up to find the same information using Google Maps and had some success there. One of the methods that I use currently, I talked about in my presentation that I did at Local U in New Orleans last month. I believe it's currently the pinned tweet on my Twitter profile. If anyone takes a look at that, but finding them is the first step, and I can safely say that like 90% of the businesses that we get that come to us have duplicate listing problems. So it's something that a lot of SEO companies are either not aware of or they have no idea how to find them. And then dealing with them, it totally depends. So that goes into all kinds of different scenarios, and depending on what scenario you're in, there is a different method to solve it. So it's not easy, and there's no one answer.
Yeah, that's what I always struggle with. Is every case is completely unique, and there's not like a step 1, 2, 3. So, is Google going to come out with a way to make this easier for us, or is this just the current method we're going to have to work with right now? Okay.
I highly doubt it because they haven't in I don't know, how many years Google Places has been around, like 8 years, 9 years. Yeah, I doubt they will make this easier.
And one other method we've been using is just to go to Google Plus and type in the business name and type in the address and type in every different combination until we find all of these duplicates, and use gybo.com and all of these different sources, and even just going straight to Google and typing in Google Plus after it.
Right. Well, yeah, we've done that. And then one method that I've been using lately is I'll Google the business. If the knowledge graph comes up, I'll click on the photos. And as I browse through the photos, some of them will have the Google Plus URL in it. And then you can grab that number and then plug it in with the proper format and actually pull it up that way. I've done that to kind of grab some at some points in time.
Yeah, a big thing to keep in mind with that is that any unverified listings so you're missing all of the listings that have not been owner verified if you're only checking on Google Plus.
Great. Robin, you got one more question for us, so make it a good one, whatever one's left, and then we're going to go ahead and let Joy promo her business, and we're going to do a wrap up with Terry.
Sure, then I'll make it a big one. How about some of the, I know it's so difficult now to get backlinks. Is there a good small business, medium-sized business type of backlinking strategy that you would recommend besides just having great content out there that and just in hopes that people will link to it? Is there a more aggressive strategy?
There's one strategy that I found has worked really well, and it's pretty scalable, I would think. So let's say, for example, I'm working with an insurance agent. What I would do is I'd send them a little questionnaire, and I'd say, what other types of small businesses do you currently are you a customer of? So for example, most small businesses have a lawyer. Most small businesses would have had a real estate agent to help them find their office. Most small businesses have an insurance company. Maybe they've got a restaurant nearby that they really like, or a chiropractor they go to regularly, or whatever. So I get that list from them usually, and then I reach out to the business that they go to, and I say, I work with Bob Smith, this insurance agent, and he testimonials on your website, and he would be willing to offer you a testimonial that you can use on your site, because he's just been really happy with your service. And for credibility, he's even okay with you linking back to his site, so that people can see that he's like a real review and a real person. And I've had I think probably 20-30% success rate doing that with small businesses, because who's going to pass up a testimonial? And then the whole concept of the linking back to their site gets them a link, but it does it in a way that's not spammy. It's natural, right? So that's one tactic I found that works.
Yeah, offering testimony, even a video testimonial would be great too. But that's a great idea.
If it comes with a link,
Joy.
yeah.
Yeah, as long as you're getting that link. Okay. Any other final words of advice for us, Joy, before we wrap up here?
Yeah, I mean, just basically, I think to keep up with local SEO, following publications like Search Engine Land or Moz. There is a service that Whitespark has on their site too, called the Local Pulse, that if you sign up for that, it sends you a daily email just with different articles and things written about local SEO. So I tell people to subscribe to that, because it's a good way just to get a really quick summary of what's going on. And it's free. You just go on there and you subscribe.
Fantastic. Well, Joy, thank you so much for joining us today. We really enjoyed your time sharing your expertise with us, and some of your unique insights is incredibly valuable, and it is really cool that you're able to do that with us. Could you go ahead and share with us one more time what the best way to get a hold of you would be?
Sure. My email address is joy@impreziomarketing.com, so pretty simple. But feel free to follow me on Twitter. I'm pretty active on there. You'll see me over at the Google My Business forum. Obviously, Imprezio's, or my direct phone number is on my Twitter account there as well. So everything that people should have or need to contact me should be on there.
Fantastic. And Terry, do you want to do the wrap up then?
Absolutely. All right. Well, Joy, I want to thank you too. Learned a lot. Glad we had you on. Hopefully, our viewers and people who will watch us in the future will learn a lot as well. As for us, again, we get you new targeted customers. Take a look at our website, awesomedynamic.com. On there, there's a tab at the top that'll allow you to watch any of these webinars. Great way to catch up on some of the ones you may have missed down the road. And also, you could go ahead down there and sign up for our awesome list, so you can keep up with everything we got going on. Make sure you're aware of when we're doing what we're doing. And again, as we talked earlier, if you found this to be valuable and learned a lot from everything you saw today, we'd always appreciate it. It would mean a lot to us if you would go down to the bottom there and click that button and give us that 5-star Google review. We would really appreciate that. We always do. Want to remind you to bring your friends next time. And if they have specific questions, bring them as well. We love to address them. And we look forward to seeing everybody next week. We do these every Thursday at 12:30 Central Time. And we're going to sign off now. Everybody say goodbye.
Bye.
And I want to give a quick shout out. One of our
Bye.
favorite clients is on the line watching us. As usual, Kendra, have a good one. Take care, everybody.